Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanang Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Hare Krishna. We're continuing in Prahlad's prayers. Canto 7, Chapter 9, Text 11. Naivatmanaf prabhudayang najalapapurno manang janala vidushakkarano pranite yad yajjano bhagavate vidithita manang tachatmane pratimukhasya yatamukha shri. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is always fully satisfied in Himself. Therefore, when something is offered to Him, the offering by the Lord's mercy is for the benefit of the devotee, for the Lord does not need service from anyone. To give an example, if one's face is decorated, the reflection of one's face in a mirror is also seen to be decorated. Purport: in Bhakti Yoga, it is recommended that a devotee follow 9 principles: Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atma Nivedanam. This service of glorifying the Lord by hearing, chanting, and so on is not, of course, meant for the benefit of the Lord. This devotional service is recommended for the benefit of the devotee. The Lord is always glorious, whether the devotee glorifies Him or not. But if the devotee engages in glorifying the Lord, the devotee themselves automatically becomes glorious. Cheto darpanamarjanam bhavamahadavagni nirvapanam. By glorifying the Lord constantly, the living entity becomes purified in the core of their heart, and thus they can understand that they do not belong to the material world, but are a spirit soul whose actual activity is to advance in Krishna consciousness, so that they may become free from the material clutches. Thus the blazing fire of material existence is immediately extinguished. Bhavamaha davagni nirvapanam. A foolish person is amazed that Krishna orders Sarvatarman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Braja. Quote, abandon all varieties of religious activities and just surrender unto me. Some foolish scholars even say that this is too much to demand. But this demand is not for the benefit of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rather, it is for the benefit of human society. If human beings individually and collectively surrender everything to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in full Krishna consciousness, all of human society will benefit. One who does not dedicate everything to the Supreme Lord is described in this verse as avidusha, a rascal. In Bhagavad Gita 7.15, the Lord Himself speaks in the same way. Namang dushkritinom mudhav prapadyante naratamaha mayapa hrutagyana asuram bhavam ashrita. Quote, those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. Because of ignorance and misfortune, the atheists and the naratamas, the lowest of persons, do not surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, although the Supreme Lord Krishna is full in Himself, He appears in different yugas to demand the surrender of the conditioned souls so that they will benefit by becoming free from the material clutches. In conclusion, the more we engage in Krishna consciousness and render service unto the Lord, the more we benefit. Krishna does not need service from any of us. Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Jnana Timirantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, the context here is that Prahlad Maharaj has been speaking about he's been beginning with this humility of, well, how can I How can I satisfy the Lord? And then he's taking shelter of bhakti. Well, actually, I'm practicing bhakti. I'm a devotee. And, Krishna gave his mercy to Gajendra, who wasn't even human. So all of my disqualifications are actually not important. And in the previous verse, he said exactly that if somebody is sincerely dedicated to the Lord and they come from the worst material situation, they're better than somebody who is completely averse to the Lord and they come from the best material situation. And so the continuation of that idea is here, where he's actually looking at that critical factor, bhakti. If bhakti is so powerful that somebody who has it, they actually are surrendered to it and they have no good qualities otherwise, they're more glorious than somebody who has all good qualities but no bhakti, then what is bhakti? And so there's a further like focus in on what this is. And he's saying here that about bhakti, it is so great that it glorifies the devotee. It actually makes the devotee great. The devotees may think that by practicing bhakti, they're really giving something to the Lord that he doesn't already have. And Krishna, Prahlad's pointing out, Prabhupada's pointing out, that's not actually what's happening, because that's a material conception, right? In material exchanges, I give you something, right? I give you my time, I give you my money or energy, somehow, some form of exchange that you didn't have that, and I give it to you. And I get something back, I guess. But the point is, there's an exchange. You didn't have that, now you have it. And so it's like, hey, Krishna, I'm chanting your name. Here is something for you. I'm paying in this currency. But it doesn't work that way, because it's the absolute platform. You're not paying Krishna anything. You're paying your attention. It's actually like, what really happens is that you're lifted up, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, if I approach a fire, the fire, you can say on some level, the fire comes closer to my temperature. But really what's more noticeable is I come closer to the fire's temperature, right? And so Prahlad Maharaj is pointing out that, and he uses this analogy, that if you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you decorate your own face, you don't decorate the reflection. You don't take your makeup or your comb or your water or your razor and you apply it to the mirror. You apply it to your own face, right?
Yeah.
That's how it works. And then what happens? The reflection is automatically served. If I shave my own face, then the reflection of my face is shaved. If I brush my own teeth, the reflection's teeth are brushed. Mm-hmm. I don't have to deal with the reflection. It doesn't work. It doesn't actually even work to try to deal with the reflection. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing Narada Muni said. When you water the root of the tree, all the leaves are actually watered. So Prahlad Maharaj is pointing out this factor that Krishna really is the center of everything. And if I give myself to him, which means bhakti, that's what bhakti is. If I give myself to him, then it's not that he flourishes. It's that I start to realize he was always glorious. And I start to realize that because my heart becomes cleansed. Prabhupada talks about this dynamic by quoting the beginning of the first verse of the Shikshastakam of Lord Chaitanya. Shikshastakam of Lord Chaitanya, it's 8 verses talking about what happens when we chant Hare Krishna. And as such, it's really a discussion, a presentation of the elevation of consciousness. And every verse is talking about how one gets deeper and deeper in bhakti and what happens in the heart because of that. And the very beginning is Chetudadpanamarjan, and Prabhupada talks about this. The mirror of the heart is cleansed. All the big pieces of clutter are removed. You start to realize more and more, like, oh, I'm not actually these crazy conceptions I have about myself, that I'm this body, or I am these mental constructs. I actually don't feel the power of those ideas anymore, because they're slackened, because I see that they're actually lies. The fire of material existence becomes extinguished. What is that fire? Why is it called a fire? Because fire burns. Fire, you don't want to stand in a fire. It's not pleasant, The fire of material existence is painful. That fire is suffering. Prabhupada talks about it here. It's becoming free from the material clutches. If you think that you are your body, if you think that you're a product of matter, your life is a continuous experience of anxiety. There is unlimited anxiety when you're associating with and identifying with the material situation. Unlimited anxiety. And there's freedom from that anxiety as soon as you realize, I am not that. And then as you progress, you realize what you actually are. I'm actually a servant, which is not just, oh, well, I'm free from suffering, but it's actually, frankly, it's a nonstop party. It's nonstop fun. It's festivities without cessation, ever increasing. It's just glorious. It's positive existence. And Prahlad Maharaj is talking about this awakening of consciousness, that bhakti, which is so great, how great it is, it's so great that, as he's discussed, anybody who has it, if they have no other good qualities, they're automatically glorious. It's so great that it automatically puts you on Krishna's radar. If you practice bhakti, if you're trying to give something to him, that word give is actually in this verse in Sanskrit. Well, the word, veditita, to offer, and vernita, to accept. If somebody tries to offer something to the Supreme, that's accepted. And in the Sanskrit, again, the same principle is here, that avidusha, which Prabhupada points out, means a foolish or ignorant person, one who doesn't know anything. But the verse says, even if such a person who doesn't really know what they're doing offers something, Krishna, who is described in the verse, is karuna. Karuna means caring. It means very, very compassionate. Krishna, who's so caring, sees, oh, they're trying to offer something to me. And automatically his eyes light up, right? He notices that person. It doesn't matter how foolish they are anymore. Before they tried to offer something, it mattered. As soon as they try to offer something, it doesn't matter anymore. Why doesn't it matter? Because Krishna notices them and gives them his attention. That means that their disqualifications are completely irrelevant. They will start to realize their own disqualifications, which they didn't even realize before, because they're getting purified by becoming closer and closer and closer to Krishna. And they may think, oh, well, I'm so disqualified. They were always disqualified by their own estimation. They always had all these disqualifications. But now, actually, contradictorily, they are more qualified. Because now they're actually giving to Krishna. And that is something that he is choosing to make himself always, always, always attracted to. That's his nature. He notices somebody who tries to give to him. That's his karuna nature, his caring nature. And so Prahlad, he's talking to himself and he's talking to all of us, because he's been practicing bhakti for his whole short 5 years of life. In the middle of, living in the house of the biggest demon, the biggest monstrous person, what to speak of somebody who's like innocently unaware of the glories of God. Hiranyakashipu, his father, was literally trying to rip Krishna off the throne and replace him with himself. And in the middle of all that environment, Prahlad is like sincerely practicing devotion, right? Even just in his heart. He just was always sure. Prahlad always knew, like, no, but God's real. And he knew that about himself. He can't deny that about himself. And we should also understand that about ourselves, that if we can look back at any point, say that even one time we've tried to call out sincerely for the Lord, we've wanted him, then it's not pride. It's not sinful or arrogant to say, okay, I've been blessed by bhakti. That's not glorifying you, that's glorifying bhakti, right? And if you could say that, then you should understand that this verse also applies to you. You can be a foolish, ignorant person who doesn't even know what they're doing when they're trying to call out. But if you even just once call out, you try to give something, your words, your attention, or maybe you do like what my Guru Maharaj did. He reads in the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna accepts food offerings. So on his way to school, he takes the apple his mom gave him, 15-year-old young man, 1972, 73. And he's like, okay, Krishna, this is for you. This bite, before he takes the next bite, this bite's also for you. And nobody explained to him, it's like, what food offerings are, or like, you don't even have to offer every bite, just offer the whole thing and then just offer it one time. You don't keep biting and offering the bitten apple to Krishna. But Krishna accepted it, and he felt that. He felt, oh, I can feel like reciprocation. Because that's Krishna's nature. He's karuna, he's kind, he's caring. Because here's somebody in the middle of the universe, out of literally countless living entities. That's just in one universe. Then there's one planet, there's one continent, one country, one little county, and there's one human being. Practically like on the patch of sidewalk, there's like 700,000 ants right there. Krishna's noticing every single one of these living entities. And here's one living entity in the middle of all that quagmire of the material existence who wants to see me. I'm there. I am immediately there. That's Krishna's nature. So Prahlad is taking shelter of this. Okay, all right. It's all right. I've been practicing bhakti. I want him. I've been trying to glorify him. That makes me eligible for his mercy. And it's such a beautiful verse because we're seeing Prahlad's humility, but we're also seeing like incredible poetry. This analogy is like such a first-class analogy. Like if I decorate my own face, then isn't the reflection already decorated? It's like that's our relationship with the Lord. You don't have to explain to the mirror. You don't have to philosophize or intellectualize. Now you have to show me my own face reflected back. It's natural. We are mirrors in that sense. We're inextricably linked with the light source. Krishna is the positive substance. We're the reflection. We are always linked to him. We have an existence. But that existence is dependent on him. I've been thinking about Sanskrit lately because I'm going to be starting this Sanskrit course. It's like I've been doing these Sanskrit like one-off, hour-long classes at yoga studios for people who are, because yoga asanas are all Sanskrit. People come to yoga. They like to hear about kirtan and karma and dharma and maybe bhakti if they're lucky. They hear about Bhagavad Gita and they think Sanskrit's cool because honestly it is. It's really cool. And I'm trying to attract them, towards bhakti. And I'm going to do like a more of an extensive thing. It's probably like a 12-week course, and it's about how to pronounce Sanskrit and how it works as a language. And it's all about getting people closer to Krishna because I'm not here trying to teach languages. I'm here trying to share Krishna. But I'm following the footsteps of Jiva Goswami and Lord Chaitanya himself. Lord Chaitanya was a devotee. When he manifested devotional attraction to Krishna, he was already like a young man, brilliant young man, engaged in teaching Sanskrit. And when that happened, they started falling in love with Krishna's names. And Krishna, he started teaching Sanskrit through Krishna's names. And Jiva Goswami actually writes a Sanskrit grammar, like a way of learning Sanskrit called the Harinama Vyakarana. Vyakarana means like Sanskrit grammar, like tutorial. And it's entirely through the philosophy of bhakti. So I'll share something from that because I never read the whole thing. It's a very technical manual, but I read a little bit of it in translation. And it's related to this philosophy here. He says there that in the language of Sanskrit, which is true of every language, you have vowels and you have consonants, right? And what's the difference? Well, one way of understanding the difference is that a vowel is something you can say and it stands on its own. O, u, it's there, right? You can't make a consonant sound unless a vowel is attached. What's K? K is K followed by or K, O, K, E. It doesn't exist on its own. It exists, but it requires the presence of the vowel. Therefore, the vowel is like Krishna, and the consonant is like the jiva. It exists, it has positive substance, but it only exists when it's right next to the Lord, by the mercy of the Lord. So here's Jiva Goswami teaching Sanskrit through bhakti philosophy. What an amazing thing. So Prahlad Maharaj is saying the same thing. We exist, we're reflections. We exist because the first person exists. We're parts of him. And so therefore, if I turn to him, how much more effective is that as a way of like lifting myself up than if I try to do my own so-called self-help, right? So this is actually the real nature of self-help. Real self-help means turning to the Supreme Self and trying to serve that Supreme Self. It doesn't mean conceiving of yourself as an independent unit. Okay, here I am. I'm going to empower myself. I'm going to go to the gym, lift some weights, I'm going to make my bed, going to start doing, do things right, get good habits. It's like, yeah, that's working with Krishna's modes of nature system. So you want to be in the mode of goodness? Actually, that's kind of the mode of passion. It's like actually activity over inactivity. And if you get more advanced, you're like, actually, more advanced than just like being active all the time is like to be balanced and introspective and clear and have a healthy body and a healthy mind. And that's sattva. Yeah, that's still Krishna's system. It's just indirect. You haven't looked at him directly. What if you actually looked at him? What if you actually gave your attention to that supreme source? How much would that affect you, right? That's what Prahlad's saying. It's an invitation. Hey, everybody, if we are inextricably linked with the supreme source, what if we consciously connected to him? Instead of just taking all the benefit from his, inanimate matter and just like pretending he doesn't exist? What if instead of being ungrateful children receiving so much, we actually turned our face toward the supreme parents, right? What would happen then? And think about it if you're a parent. What happens when your child like looks at you and calls you by like mama, dada? Like it's a party. It's a giant festival. They call everybody. They record it. It's like it's never going to be, now we have like social media. They'll put it on social media. You'll never live it down. You'll see yourself as an infant saying mama for the next 55 years. Like it's just there, or more, until the technology can't play the MP3 format or whatever. And it's like, because it's so recognized, like, oh wow, they're looking at me, they're talking about me. That's Krishna. That's how Krishna's thinking. Oh wow, yeah, they've been taking my energy forever. That's fine. They always get that. That's automatic. But now they're calling out to me. Now they're looking at me. Oh wow, like now I'll notice them. Now what do you want? What can I do for you? That's Krishna's mood, because he's so karuna, he's so caring. So Prahlad, he knows that. He knows that because he's a great devotee, which means he knows Krishna's nature because he's very close to him. So he's reminding himself of that, and he's reminding us, who are deeply forgetful, that this is who we're dealing with. We're dealing with somebody who happens to be two things. The very center and source of all of existence, right? He's the real thing and we're the reflection. And he's very, very, very caring and extremely powerful, which means he notices. He notices when the 15-year-old boy in one patch of one universe, sitting on one square sidewalk, on which there are 700,000 ants. Krishna notices that one living entity who's calling out to him. He's that powerful and that attentive and that kind. So if he does it for that person and he does it for Prahlad, he'll do it for us. Because that's the nature of bhakti. Bhakti is always glorious. Bhakti is always able to glorify and uplift anybody. And bhakti is always received by the transcendental ears and eyes of the Lord. He notices, oh, somebody's trying to call my name. Somebody's trying to turn to me. And so, pratimukasya tamukashri, one becomes glorified and decorated. By the attempt to do some good, to glorify the Lord, one becomes glorified in himself. It's actually a very interesting thing. The more one tries to serve Krishna, the more one becomes glorified and empowered. Vishwanath Thakur talks about this in the Madhurya Kadambini, that this can be one of the stages of one of the pause buttons in your bhakti can be, after you practice for some time, you'll start to get respect back. You'll start to get gratitude, followers, admiration, so many things. Why? Because you're doing an amazing thing. You're following Krishna, trying to serve Krishna. What happens? Just look at our lives. If you start serving Krishna, you automatically get good habits, There's so many people come to Krishna consciousness, they're like, I smoke, I drink, I'm addicted to even hard drugs. What to speak of I eat meat or whatever, right? And they start chanting Hare Krishna, associating with devotees, the heart becomes cleansed. That tight knot that was gripping them to their habits becomes looser and looser and looser till they let go. And they're like, all their friends are like, whoa, how did you give up smoking crack cocaine? I chanted Hare Krishna. How did you give up, eating meat? And why you smell so clean now? And your habits are so regulated, and you're waking up early in the morning. It's you can sit down for 2 hours and chant a mantra. I can't even sit down for 2 seconds. My mind drives me nuts. How do you do that? That's glorification. It'll come. And Vishwanath says, if you start to become intoxicated by that, it can be the pause button on your bhakti advancement. Because why? Because you are going to get glorified. Because it's actually an incredible position to be a devotee. You can sit still for 2 hours? Who can do that? Who can do that? Your presidents can't do that. Your prime ministers can't do that. Your parents can't do that. Your teachers couldn't do that. Nobody can do that. It's an empowered activity. It requires deep grace to sit still and really be able to focus your heart on anything. What to speak on the Supreme Person. It's an empowered activity. Krishna's blessed you. Wow, you can walk out into a world full of billboards and social media and a 24-hour news cycle and think of God? Who could do that? Who can stay peaceful? That only saints can do that. It's an empowered activity. You can have tolerance for somebody like Kunti. You can have tolerance and love for somebody who just murdered your 5 children. Who can do that? It's an incredible thing. It's an empowered thing. You've just up-leveled so much by practicing bhakti. So Prahlad is saying oh, I already am like enough because I'm trying to serve Krishna and he's noticing me. Whatever I don't have, he'll give me. That's in the Bhagavad Gita. Ananyas chintayanto mang ye janaf pariyupasate teshang nityabhyuktanang yogakshem vahamyaham. 9, I think 22. If someone tries to serve me without interruption, sincerely, completely, I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. Whatever they've got, it's because I'm preserving it, make sure they don't lose it. Whatever they don't have, I'm carrying it for them, right? Well, there's so many things we may lack. Well, guess what? Krishna's carrying it for you, right next to you. You know, it's like, imagine every time you forgot your keys, someone walked up to you and here's your keys. Every time you forgot a phone number, there it is. And every time you like couldn't remember her name, there it is. That's actually Super Soul reminds you. What's that person's name again? Oh yeah, it's so-and-so. That's actually Krishna. He's carrying what we lack all the time, even materially. But as a devotee, he really shows up. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. You want me to give a kirtan, lead a kirtan in front of 200 people? That's crazy. I can't do that. Yeah, you're right. Maybe you can't, but Krishna will carry what you lack. And next thing you know, you're leading a kirtan in front of 200 people. Right? I remember when I was an uninitiated devotee at Govardhan Hill, and I had out of enthusiasm, I'd asked my Guru Maharaj, like, how can I start to have opportunities to talk about Krishna? Because I think it's really cool and neat. I love these books. They're great. I started reading Bhagavatam, and I want to start talking about Krishna. He's like, you know what? Talk to the temple president in Toronto. Tell him I sent you. Tell him you can start giving Bhagavatam class. Here I am, right? And then fast forward a couple months, I'm at Govardhan Hill during Kartik, and I'm giving Bhagavatam class. And who's there in the audience? My Guru Maharaj and some sannyasis. And it's like, here's Bhakta Sam, he's going to give Bhagavatam class. Because the program is every day someone different gives Bhagavatam class. And I'm there sweating buckets. And I'm thinking of this principle. I've been asked to do it. So, as Prabhupada says, the order of the spiritual master carries the potency to fulfill the order. So if Guru Maharaj is saying give class, then Guru Maharaj can make me fit to give class. That's the same thing. If Krishna says, you can be a devotee, then Krishna can make me good enough to be a devotee. And I gave a class, and it was all right. People gave reflections, and they liked it. I have the recording somewhere, 2014 or what, 13 or whatever, and it's the same thing. And who can go to Govardhan Hill during Kartik and give a class to pure devotees about the Bhagavatam? How can some guy off the street do that, right? It's possible, the same way it's possible for Srila Prabhupada to walk into the Bowery and get heroin addicts and bring them into the kirtan and uplift them to the point where they're, after 30 years, they're practicing bhakti at such a level that just being in the same room as them, you feel like, you know what? I will give my life to God. Yeah, this is doable. It's just how it works. So Prahlad Maharaj is telling us about real self-help. Real self-help is to turn to the Supreme Self and to give of yourself something, whatever you can give. And Krishna notices that. He's very karuna, he's very caring, he's very attentive, very powerful. And he notices even when someone who doesn't know what the heck they're doing tries to serve him. So Prahlad is glorifying this bhakti process. He's pumping himself up, and he's really pumping all of us up that, I'm like Krishna's reflection. If I just serve him, then it's like on-the-job training. Even if I can't serve him very well, I'll get the information from within and from externally how to serve him better. So, many points here. Let's take some reflections on what you heard. This beautiful verse, the perfection of self-help.
It's interesting how, thank you for class, for Shamya Prabhu, and it's interesting how in serving, right, where when I'm serving, I'm not thinking, oh, this is going to then help me.
Yeah.
Right?
Because that's not really pure service.
That's not, then that's not seva, right? And this is, I'm serving Krishna, or I'm serving Krishna through whatever action, whatever I'm doing, right? Because whether it's serving someone else and they're a devotee of Krishna, or there's Krishna inside of them, right? Or I'm raising my children, or doing my work. So, and this verse is reminding us how that does actually empower and uplift us, and therefore it does benefit us. But we don't want to approach the service with that mindset.
Right. We don't. And what's amazing is even if you do, you still get benefit. you'll still get benefit. Somebody can practice devotional service just thinking like, oh, wait a minute. So my friend, who I don't know like this bhakti thing, but my friend is like a really together person and I trust them. And they told me if I chant this mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and like ask for what I want, I can get it. I can actually like get some material benefits. And you know what? I'm gonna do that. They have no knowledge.
Yeah.
Right? They're chanting a Namaparad. They don't even know that they're a servant. They'll still get some benefit. If there's any sincerity in them at all, that benefit will manifest as maybe some material benefit, but also they'll come closer. They'll have better association, better guidance. They'll come to the point where they realize, oh, wait a minute, there's a higher thing than to ask. Go to God, because that's what I've been doing, whether I knew it or not. And ask for some, what? Oh, Lord, please give me a Mercedes-Benz. Right? As the song goes, like, what a joke. I could do better. So you can actually go with conditions. You can actually go thinking, yeah, this is good for me. I'm going to profit off of this. And Krishna doesn't accept it as pure devotional service, but he accepts it as service. It's a fact. I mean, he accepted Putana. Putana was Putana's service. Oh yeah, I'll feed him so I can murder him with my poisoned nipple. Krishna's like, you're a mom. I accept you as a servant. Like, what kind of person does that? What kind of person sees an assassin and is like, yeah, you know what? You're with me. I consider you like my own mother. Like, that's Krishna. Only he can be that generous. So yeah, we do want to refine our purposes, but even if we're not refined all the way, even if when we're chanting, we're like, you know what? Deep down, I'm chanting because I really like to start my day feeling good, and chanting makes me feel good. Okay, that's not pure devotional service, and you're getting closer. Because the very fact that you realize that, oh, wait a minute, that's like a little bit of hypocrisy and like selfishness, that's the beginning of the awakening of non-hypocrisy and selflessness and real love, right? And just keep chanting. Just keep chanting to make yourself comfortable. That's okay. Just keep chanting and be around persons who are chanting for a better reason. Hear the pure sound vibration. Hear their chanting, right? Take their prasadam. And what will happen is that you'll magically realize, like, I already feel great, and it's because I'm trying to serve Krishna, not because I'm trying to serve me. So both things are true. It's really contradictory. In material life, we have to try so hard to make ourselves happy, and then it doesn't even really work. In spiritual life, we're trying hard to make Krishna happy. And even if we fail and stumble and fall down, we become blissfully ecstatic by the attempt. It's just such a reversal. Yeah. More reflections.
I just like the concept of when we make an offering to the Lord, he already has everything. We're not actually giving it to him for his benefit. It's really benefiting us. That's a really beautiful way to think about it. And I loved the analogy of the baby saying mama or dada, like all of a sudden, everyone's ecstatic and you pay more attention and the little babies, recognized the relationship with you and that makes it more poignant. And that as an analogy to Krishna enjoying calling out his names. That's really powerful. Really great analogy.
Yeah, the Bhagavatam itself talks about what happens when you read the Bhagavatam. That Krishna is helplessly attracted to it, and he becomes Prabhupada calls it compacted in one's heart. Because, they're reading Bhagavatam. Wow. Krishna is just like intoxicated with it. Because the Bhagavatam is just the sound vibration of so many devotees who are completely in love with him. Shukadeva Goswami is completely in love with Krishna. Maharaj Parikshit, Sutta Goswami, the gopis of Vrindavan, Prahlad Maharaj. It's just like, you're reading Bhagavatam, Krishna's ears perk up. So same when you're chanting his name. Yeah, that analogy is very, very germane because Krishna is he's very grateful. He's a very grateful person. Like any loving parent, he's just very grateful, very attentive. How attentive is a parent when they're waiting for that first word, right? How attentive is Krishna when he's like, they're going to serve me, I can feel it. That's Krishna. He's like, they chanted, they called out for me. There's all these little milestones. And then they're starting to walk, they're giving a class, they're leading kirtan, They're taking disciples. It's all just service. They're all just like Krishna's little kids, just like doing something for him. It's one way or another. It's just a service. It's just little milestones. Oh, they're a world acharya. Oh, they started the Krishna consciousness movement. Oh, imagine how proud Krishna is of Srila Prabhupada. But it's the same thing. Yeah.
Could you
John,
imagine
more reflections?
spiritual social media?
Spiritual social media.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like Krishna out there tweeting, they called for me. They're doing it.
Yeah.
I just went down a rabbit
Posting
hole.
our picture, making us famous. Next thing you know, people are like, "Oh, I remember that happened to me one time." They're like, "Oh, this person said, oh, I know you. You give class on Bhagavatam in Denver." I'm like, "How do you know me? I was in Vrindavan. I'd never met this person before." I was thinking, how do they know me? And then I remembered that we broadcast our classes, so they listened to a recording, or like they were there, and I never noticed their name, and so they remembered my name, and here I am getting glorification for some class I gave. Why? Because I'm practicing bhakti, and it's the same thing. Somebody on the other side of the world, they were like from Africa or something, knew my name and remembered my name. And it's like, yeah, Krishna posted me on social media because I gave a class. It's like, you can't run from it. You can't run from your fame. If you practice bhakti, you'll become famous. You'll become beautiful. You'll become attractive. You'll become glorified. Why? Because Krishna's like, yeah, I'm giving you likes, 10,000 likes, 40,000 followers. It's just going to happen. You just got to take it, in stride. Don't let it get your head.
Right.
It's just Krishna being Krishna. It's not like you're a big deal now. Yeah. More reflections.
Krishna, thank you so much. And waking up this morning, it was beautiful. Really waking up, which is a little bit different from waking up. But there's a couple of things that I thought of. The idea that if I decorate myself, my reflection will be decorated. It reminded me so much of 15:1 to 4, the banyan tree. The
Right.
reflection of this world is only a reflection of the spiritual world, and thinking that, listen, if I in this material world do these things of offering and of trying to be sattvic, if you will, it's actually also helping me in the spiritual world, and Krishna is happy with that I'm doing these things as an offering to Krishna in this world, but it's coming also into the spiritual world. I also thought about the honesty. Yeah, I love the idea of calling out as if, Dada, Mama, please, I'm offering myself. But I also do believe there are times when I'm like, dude, what you doing to me? It's a true relationship. Why
Yeah.
is this being so hard? Why are you making my life so complicated? And then, hey, you're my best friend. Hey, you're my mom, your father, you're my protector, you're my everything. So it's really honesty and humility to me are very, very important in my relationship with Krishna, so that I don't always feel it, but I feel something. And I
Yeah.
offer what I'm feeling up in an honest way. And over time, sometimes it gets to be very, very sweet. And you said it just now. I gotta make sure that I'm not getting too puffed up in this. That you just like, oh, look at me, How many things did I chant? How many things did I do? Blah blah blah. And
Yeah.
because it can be very heady if you get too far down. And so it's really humility and honesty is really very important to me. Hare Krishna.
Definitely. It's always going to be relevant. Hare Krishna. I was chanting this morning, preparing for class, because it would be like, would consider it crazy to give a Bhagavatam class without chanting first. I just know what I'm dealing with my mind. Like, I don't want to subject all of you to that. I want something to come through from Krishna. So I chanted some rounds, and then I felt like, okay, honestly, I felt like, yeah, I'm something. I'm something now. And what happened was I took my phone off of airplane mode, and immediately I was dragged forcibly into the world for just like 30 seconds of stuff going on. I was like, wait a minute, what am I doing? I don't do this. This doesn't work for me. I'm getting polluted by stuff, and I'm gonna have to think about this later. It's just like, seeping in, I turned it off again. And I realized, like, yeah, that was pride. That was like kind of taking my foot off the gas for a second. And Krishna wasn't punishing me. He was reminding me that it's for your benefit. The reason you felt good is because you tried to serve me sincerely for so many rounds. Don't stop now. Don't cheat yourself. You know? You can still feel good. Don't get lost in the 24-hour news cycle. It's going to be there. If you need to look at it later. Chant your rounds first. Right? And it's like, that's the thing. That's what it comes down to for us, is like, if we actually try to practice bhakti sincerely, we will be happier. We will be more functional. We will be more equipped. It's just the way it works. And when we don't, even if we've been practicing for years, if you just kind of take your foot off the gas and coast a little bit, Krishna will be like, knock, knock, heads up. You're going off the road again. A little bit, you know. So, yeah, that happened this morning. Hare Krishna. Leanne's got something in chat. Hearing this teaching helps me remember to continue to fully surrender anything to Krishna, because we are fully supported more than we know. A great reminder that any little act towards an offering is big, even if we may not think so. Yeah, Prahlad thought his offering was insignificant, but his whole theme so far has been glorifying the process of bhakti and anybody who's in bhakti, which really comes down to what you're saying, Leanne, that the offering is big even if we don't think so. Krishna is fully supporting us more than we know. Like the iceberg is still like this tiny thing above the water, but it's this massive thing under the water. Prahlad knows that on my side of the relationship, I'm here counting a couple rounds. I read a couple verses today. It's such an insignificant thing, but from Krishna's side, it's this gigantic thing. He's taking it as such a big thing, and his ability to reciprocate is like so many times more bigger than our ability to actually give him anything. So, from the absolute point of view, it's actually significant. There's a nice verse in the, I don't know the verses actually, but in the commentary to a verse in the third canto, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who gives a full commentary on Bhagavatam like Prabhupada did, he talks about what happens when someone begins practicing bhakti, like fresh. He says, on the higher planets, Brahma begins preparing a drink for them. Why? Because in the higher planets, time flows in a different way than it does here. This comes out in the Krishna book, 10th canto, that like a second spent. There's a king who goes up to the higher planets to fight for the demigods against the demons. He fights for a couple years. He comes back and he realizes everyone's dead that he knew. The ages have passed. And so from Brahma's point of view, like it's going to be like a microsecond before this person's a perfect devotee. So he already starts working to give them this nectarian drink offering. I forget what it's called. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur talks about it. Brahma's up there making you a milkshake, because from his point of view, you're like walking into your first kirtan. It's like, oh, they're done. It's over, you know? Like little fireflies, they begin and end so fast. So from Brahma's point of view, it's like they're perfect. They're already perfect. There's like all these little ups and downs, but it's not going to matter because they're already there. It's like inevitable. So it's this thing of like, we don't know how potent the thing is actually. Brahma knows because he's a great devotee. He's got a higher vantage point. He's on the heavenly. He's on the highest planet actually, materially, Satyaloka. He can see. So he's like, yeah. Let me give them something to prepare for their going to the spiritual world, because it's going to be around the corner. Vishwanath is saying this. I'm not saying it. I didn't make it up. Ask Vishwanath if it sounds crazy. That's how generous bhakti is. So, Hare Krishna. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, uplifter of the fallen, Sri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Now let's offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, like Prahlad Maharaj, who are just like desire trees, can fulfill the desires of everyone, and are full of compassion. For the fallen conditioned souls, Vancha Kalpa Tirupyascha, Kripa Santubhye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnavarinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Have a great Thursday, and see you soon.